Wow. Okay, I'm going to start this off. I'm Clay Fowler, and I am the chair of the board of HDF. Very privileged to have been chair for quite a while and to have worked with this organization over many years, more than 20 years, in fact. And this is a very special day. The first thing I would like to say, is this a spectacular venue or what? So kudos to the developer who put this together and the city of Stamford that permitted this to occur. It's an incredible asset to the community. Oh, Sailor, you're here, thank goodness. So I just want to thank a few people for showing up today. Carolyn Simmons, who's the mayor there, right there, Stamford, thank you. Sayla Mosquera Bruno, who just showed up because she had to come from a long way in our biggest problem in the state, or one of the biggest problems, our transportation system. And every time you come here, I'm amazed that you get here at all. So thanks for coming. And also Nandini Natajaran, who's the CEO of the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority. Nandini is around someplace. Hi, thank you. So thank you all for coming. A couple words about HDF before we get into the program, which is quite lengthy. I'm kind of known for moving things along quickly, so I may cut people off. No, I'm kidding, I will not do that. HDF, Housing Development Fund, is in its 33rd year of helping families gain access to affordable housing. We, HDF, along with all of you in this room, are in the front lines on the war for housing. The war for housing. Yes, I've copyrighted the term. We're a powerful advocate for affordable housing in both Connecticut and New York. And I've seen in my tenure as a board member at HDF, I've seen it grow in size and influence over the years. We've remained steadfast in our commitment to individual homeowners who come through our doors, both who wish to buy for sale housing, which is a cornerstone of American life and a stepping stone in moving out of poverty. We've helped 3,200 households achieve home ownership, even with more to come. We have also assisted developers to expand the supply of affordable rental housing, including having financed over 2,000 units. I'm sorry, I don't normally use paper, but I have it today. And you know what's really creepy about this? This is a see-through podium, so you can see me messing with the pages. It's terrible. And of course, we can't do this work without your support. This breakfast would not have happened without the support, first and foremost, of the staff that put this together, led by Liz Frost. Thank you, Liz. I know how incredibly hard you worked on this. Where's Liz? I know, she's one of the tall persons in the room, so you can probably find her. Oh, there she is. We also have major sponsors, presenters. We call them M&T Bank, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, also Citibank as an investor, and then leaders include Webster Bank, Spinnaker Real Estate Partners, I think that's me, and the Per and Astrid Heidenreich Foundation. Thank you all, and thank you all, everyone else who's participated financially in this event. So thank you for your support. Now, I have the honor of introducing Carolyn Simmons, who is the mayor of Stamford. Carolyn, originally in 2014, was elected to represent Stamford's 144th House District. We have 144 houses in this town? That's incredible. Mayor Simmons was elected in 2021, with top priorities including investing in the city's infrastructure, advancing economic prosperity, and making government more responsive to enhance the quality of life for residents. She's a passionate advocate for women and minority-owned businesses and has helped pass legislation to provide more grants and increase access of capital to entrepreneurs and startups and in the support of small business throughout the state. Please welcome Carolyn Simmons. And I get a break.
Thank you very much, Clay, for the kind introduction, and good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you this morning. I always love this breakfast. First of all, a good, delicious breakfast and coffee early in the morning. But secondly, as a mom of 3 boys under 5, I get to beat the morning chaos of getting 3 boys dressed and out the door. So pass that on to my husband this morning. But this breakfast this year is extra special because we are celebrating an incredible leader in Joan Carty, who has been the rock of this organization since 1994. She has put her heart and soul into the Housing Development Fund and has helped expand the organization tremendously under her leadership. The footprint and impact and the amount of funding you've been able to solidify, and just the number of lives you've touched. I think all of us have so many fond memories of working with Joan over the years. One of my favorite memories was last year, getting to visit Washington Crossing with Joan and her team, which many of you probably know is the beautiful new condo complex right down the road from here with 23 affordable owner-occupied condos for 23 individuals in our city who are able to afford home ownership thanks to Joan and the HDF team. And you could just see the pride and the joy in Joan's eyes as she was walking us through this beautiful space, which was modern and top amenities and appliances, and the location right by the train station, and you could just see how much she cared. And she was telling us about the types of families that were going to get to live in this space. 2 of them we actually highlighted at our State of the City address, Chanel Perry and Olga Lopez, who are 2 professionals in our city. Chanel works as a court planner at our Superior Court, and Olga Lopez works at Building 1 Community, and Joan was just describing the families and how they're working professionals in our city who don't have ladders of opportunity for home ownership. And so I'll always remember that experience and the thousands of other lives you have touched like that, Joan. So thank you so much for everything you've done for our city. I know that you're not going to be going far. We're still going to be calling on you for advice and wisdom, but we hope you enjoy your well-deserved retirement. I know you're going to be going to France, so enjoy some good wine and baguettes over there. And then I just also want to thank the entire HDF team and really HDF family in this room, because this work wouldn't be possible without the collaboration of public and private sector partners, and each and every one of you in this room has played a role in the success of this organization. Thank you to our commissioner for being here. We hope the traffic wasn't too bad. We're working on that. And to all of the private sector lenders in the room, all of our housing partners, what you do is so critical to helping support our goal as a city to make our city a more inclusive, equitable, and affordable place so everyone has the opportunity to thrive here. And making sure that people have a roof over their head, that is first and foremost a top priority. In fact, I'm going to be signing an executive order in the coming weeks with the goal of creating 1,000 new affordable units in the coming weeks, and people are asking me, how are you going to do that? And I said, well, partners like all of you in this room, leaders like Joan Carty and HDF, partners like Charter Oak, partners like the Connecticut Department of Housing, all of the banking institutions in the room. It's a team effort, and we're looking forward to partnering with each and every one of you, because housing is a human right, and everybody deserves the dignity of having safe, affordable, accessible housing in our city. So thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations, Joan.
Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mayor Simmons. It's really a pleasure always to see you and to hear you. And you have done such an amazing amount of work in short term. So I'm looking forward to that bill of 1,000 affordable units. And we will be next to you to help you out. Clay, it was actually 2 hours. It's like 40 miles, I think, from Milford to here, 2 hours. So I had to get up. Morning is not my best suit, so I told my husband I had to get up at 5:30. Yes. 5:30 is only for John. And like the mayor said, it really is a great pleasure to be here, especially because we are honoring a person that really has done a lot and contributed a lot to affordable housing. Housing Development Fund, and Joan has been very important to us and to the department because we have been partners for all these years. And recently, on my position as a commissioner, she has been working with us, especially on the pandemic, with the rent relief, UnitedCT. You guys were instrumental to be able to provide those resources to our families that were needing the most. And also the apartments, the condominiums that the mayor just mentioned, with the Community Land Trust, where we provided resources to be able to get those units ready for those families that, as the mayor said, they were so happy when I was walking with the families in those apartments. So thank you for all your work. Thank you for all your contribution. Your creativity is going to be missed, but I hope you're not going to go far. And I don't understand why she's retiring now. I started 4 years ago with a debt diet. And right now, the governor has $600 million for affordable housing in his budget. So why are you leaving? And especially $100 million for our great program, Time to Own, which is a down payment assistance up to $50,000 forgivable loan for down payment and closing costs. So only started last year, and we have had 1,400 individuals or families that have bought their homes the first time that they become homeowners. So it's such a great program, so I still don't understand why are you leaving now that I have money. So having said that, I have a job to introduce our keynote speaker. And I have to say personally, Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston has been such a great partner. As an end user, because I used to be a developer, I used the resources from Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston for about 15 years. And I was so impressed with the flexibility, how easy it was to access the resources when you had a project. And I always wanted to be like them. How can they make this so flexible, so easy, and the money was so important because we're very low interest loans or subsidy for a project. And so now that I'm at the department, I always looked up to Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston flexibility, and we're trying to do a little more and be a little more like Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. Their program is so important, and we want to continue with our partnership because they're so important. So today I'm going to introduce the CEO of the bank, and I'm going to highlight a few points. So Timothy Barrett is the current president and CEO of the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, an organization that is cooperatively owned by New England financial institutions as part of the Federal Home Loan Bank system, created by Congress to serve the public by enhancing the ability of credit for housing and community development. He has been with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston since 2010, and previously held the role of Executive Vice President and Treasurer. And prior to that, was the treasurer of FMR LLC, the parent company for Fidelity Investments. He also was the managing director, global treasurer at Investors Bank and Trust from 2004 to 2007. And before that, he held various senior roles in treasury at Fleet Boston Financial. So Tim, it's a pleasure and an honor to introduce you as our keynote speaker. And let me tell you that you have a great staff.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Clay, I have paper, and if I get too long-winded, just pull me. I'm good with that. Well, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm going to put this down. It's great to be here. It's a pleasure to talk about the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. Thank you, HDF, but also it's a pleasure to be here because of Joan. Joan has been on our board for, I don't know, a long time, 15 years, and she was there when I got there in 2010, and I tell you, it was a sad day when she had to run off the board, and anyway, meeting you folks, it's pretty clear that what she did for us, she did in spades here. So again, it's a pleasure, and I'd like to spend the time, at least a couple of minutes, to talk a little bit about the partnership that we have in the housing and the financial institution space and talk a little bit more about Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston. And so some of this may seem like a marketing effort, but I think we were under a lot of scrutiny the last year or so because of our mission, and it's good to just talk about it and let people understand what we do. So I think I have this thing in my hand. I got to make sure. So these are topics I'm going to talk about. Hopefully I won't have to stare at that screen. I can just talk to you. But just from an overview, it's always good to start with the mission. And the mission of the bank, we think, is twofold. One is to provide liquidity for our banks, our insurance companies, and our, okay. Awesome, there we got it. It's a dual mission. We provide funding and liquidity to our financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, and credit unions, and all size banks, large banks, medium banks, community banks. We do it in different products. We listen to our members, and we do feel like we have flexibility, and we're pretty agile in what we do. We're also very supportive of affordable housing, which is important to all of us, and community development, especially in low-income communities. Oh, okay, that's even better. And he marked it for me. That's even better. Okay. So a little bit about the Home Loan Bank. Yes, we're one of 11 banks. But in New England, it says Boston, but we are truly a New England institution. And we support all the communities and through our membership. So where the members are and the communities they serve, so we're working with members and trying to get the best products to them to help them do their business, including credit and home ownership. We're also very focused on smaller community lenders. And what's great about the Home Loan Bank system, and actually when I got there, it was just very surprising on the structure. The model was set up in 1930. It was just remarkable, the foresight that was put into it. But it's a level playing field. So you can be a very large bank or a very small community bank or credit union. From our perspective, the service is the same, the pricing is the same. The other thing that we found in 2008, 2020, and unfortunately in March, was that we're also continue to be a big piece of the ecosystem of the financial markets. And that came out in spades with, unfortunately, the closing of a couple of banks in New York and in San Francisco. But we have the ability to raise funds quickly and on demand for our financial institutions, and we saw a lot of activity, which I'll talk about. And again, in New England, it's a pretty diverse membership, large and small. And what we do is help our members support their communities in whatever ways that they can. And clearly, we're very proud, and Joan led our efforts on the board in affordable housing. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we do beyond affordable housing. Real quick, right now we're about 427 large in membership. We're owned by our members, so it's a very unique structure, and you can see the breakdown there. Again, in Boston, we have some larger institutions, but as you can see, we're also very large in terms of numbers of smaller institutions. The one number that is not that large is our CDFIs, which is something we have to figure out. I think going forward, there's an earnest effort across the system to figure out to do more with CDFIs. Real quick, again, maybe a little bit marketing. So we're lenders, and we're also credit providers. So we lend in advances, which for me, coming here, it was unbelievable, our ability to raise money and to lend to our members wherever they, short-term, medium-term, long-term, different types of products. It's incredibly versatile. And we also have a letter credit program. We have a mortgage program, so we'll work with our financial institutions to buy mortgages. And where we're unlike Fannie and Freddie, we do it on a risk-sharing basis. So if you sell us a loan, you're going to take some of the risk. We went through 2008 with incredible performance because of that structure. Again, very smart. And then we also have correspondent services. The one thing that we have done is, they say GSEs can't get very IT savvy, but we're very proud of our online banking. So we're very in tune, again, by flexibility to interact with our members through IT, and we have an online banking to make it easier. I mean, one thing about the Home Loan Bank, when you need money, you got to do it fast, and we show that day to day. But especially in a crisis, it's amazing how the system can, and our bank in particular, can serve our members, and online banking helps us. I've been talking a lot about this. I can't skip over it because it's so impactful, and you know, we can on one side say, you know, these were, you know, poorly run banks that had problems in California and New York, but from my perspective, we have to understand what happened, and we have to, again, as liquidity providers, be there to help out where we're needed, and we did through that period. So again, we're a lender, a day-to-day lender, an asset liability lender, long-term lender, but also when things get rough, we're also an overnight, you know, emergency provider of funds. Now these are large numbers, but the point is that all the banks in the United States on that week that SVB went down and that weekend, the following week, we issue just tremendous amounts of debt. That's how we fund ourselves. We really don't have deposits. We go into the capital markets, raise money for when the banks need it. The numbers grew substantially for that week. On one day, we ended up almost $200 billion of debt, and you know, last year to the first quarter, the system lent out over $800 billion. Those are very large numbers. A lot of them are concentrated in the banks that we read about, but also across the board. If you're a banker, run on the bank is not a term you want to even be in a conversation about. So again, the power and leverage and scalability of the Home Loan Bank system. You know, in housing, you know, some of the deals are small in terms of dollars, but very impactful. In these type of events, the numbers are large and very impactful. And in Boston, we grew as well, about $8 billion, really in basically a couple of days. So again, this unfortunate time, we've been through it before, and we're set up for it, and hopefully it'll never happen again, which we know it'll happen again. This is just a lot of stuff that's going on in the papers, but a couple of points is we're being reviewed by our regulator to find out and reestablish what our mission is. You know, again, dual mission, funding and housing. But there's been a lot of questions on whether we should continue to be a liquidity provider. But it was good to hear from certain folks out there in certain publications after that week. And I think predominantly it was pretty obvious that without our help, things could have been worse. In particular, I was curious what the FDIC regulator would say, and very supportive of the system. Okay, so our affordable housing efforts and reach, when I got to the bank, I got to say, it was eye-opening. And then through the time I've been with the bank and working with our team, I'm just amazed at what we can do with a small team. And you know, one thing that has to be evident is that we have a banking business, a lending business, and the way we account for that, and there is some profit in that, and that profit gets allocated to the affordable housing. So it's a balancing act. If we can, you know, normal course, day to day, make money for the bank and our owners, then we can provide affordable housing. So one needs the other. And that's why a dual mission works, and that's why the model is so spectacular. But the products and programs that we have, affordable housing program, the community development advance, and equity builder program are what I'll say the minimum programs that all the banks have to participate in, and willingly. But right now, and that may change, but right now, all the banks set aside about 10% of earnings. So you make a lot of money, 10% is a big number, and in our case, during COVID, where our earnings profile went down, we still provided an allocation to all these programs. We didn't stop. I think Joan will remember that. We had these conversations about whatever we can do, we'll do, and I think we performed pretty well during that period. Now, this is what's important, and thank you to Joan and her leadership and the board and their leadership and management, is that these are the programs that I think we're the most agile at. We, in Boston, and I would say most of the banks, we do above and beyond the 10%. We call them voluntary programs, but they're really board-generated and management-generated programs. And they're specific to what's happening in our region. And there's also a theme here. Ken Willis is with us. He runs our HCI. And I said to Joan, I think Ken's a rock star because everybody knew him, so I don't have to introduce him. But he, I think through his work and through his team's work, we centered on down payment assistance as one of the key programs that we should do. So housing and workforce helps home buyers in a certain AMI range. Jobs for New England, a little different, but it was, during, remember, COVID and the amount of jobs that were lost in COVID, and I think we hit at the right time. And we also are ready to roll out a special purpose credit program, which I'll talk about. If you didn't know, that's where we are. We're in Connecticut. So in Connecticut, just to focus in on that, the HP, the Community Development and Equity Builder Program, you can see some of the activity over various time periods, but pretty substantial in AHP in terms of subsidies and impact. 4,600 affordable homes and 180 housing initiatives. CDA, much bigger number because that's almost, it's outside and funded differently than I would say the other programs. So we can do a lot more in that space. And you can see by the numbers, it's very impactful. And Equity Builder, again, another program for down payment assistance showing impact for almost 650 home buyers. So I heard about Connecticut having programs. We have programs. I think it's really amazing the last couple of years how coordinated efforts have been in terms of helping housing. Housing and workforce and Jobs for New England, you can see the numbers there. Again, these are separate programs that are thought through and rolled out. And as you, I mean, everybody here knows how hard that is to get things stood up. But they've been in existence for a couple of years now and have been very helpful. And Jobs for New England continues to be. And unemployment's low. I don't understand that, but it's still very positive. So here's the next program. Again, Joan worked on this with us. Ken Willis's team did a lot of work to stand this up, but it's coming. Another program on down payment assistance called Lift Up Ownership. Ken says June 1st, and I actually think we're going to deliver there. $50,000 per household, a little bit higher than the other programs that we have. This is the third down payment assistance program that we have. Eligibility requirements, you can see that. Again, a little different, a little higher AMI, first time. And really the key here is it's going to focus, it's targeted to people of color. And I think Ken reminds us that that's been around from a legislative perspective for a lot of years. But, we grabbed the horns and going to come out with it and see how it goes. A lot of information. We had a webinar, I think a week ago. We got another one coming up. We're out there talking to folks. Actually, we were in Hartford yesterday for a housing forum, one of 7. And this was one of the topics to get the word out. So we're, early indications are it's going to be very popular. It's a pilot program. We're putting a couple of million into it, but we'll see. But we think, like most of our programs, are just oversubscribed. I mean, the demand is just very, very high, but we're really excited about this. And of course, we also want to thank Joan. A lot of years at the bank, in the board. For me personally, we connected on a couple of things, Irish and coming from the Bronx. Both my families came from the Bronx, at some point from Ireland, but I still haven't figured out when. Again, Joan, thank you very much for your service at the board, again, and obviously folks here are going to be thanking you for your efforts at HDF. So I think I did okay, Clay.
Thank you. Tim, I learned a lot that I didn't know, and there's a lot more that I still need to learn about the banking system. I'm a user of the banking system. Many bankers are here, so thank you all for supporting both HDF and all the efforts that many of us do to increase housing supply of all sorts in this area. We're going to not have a 10-minute break because we're a little bit behind because Tim spoke too long. I'm kidding, we started late. So I get to do the most exciting part of this, which is very bittersweet, which is thanking Joan for her work, her life's work of nearly 30 years here. I've been with her for, I think, like 25 of those years. So Tim, like you, I've formed a relationship with Joan as a personal friend over the many years of working with her. And Joan lives, eats, and breathes making people's lives better on a one-to-one basis. And that's really hard work. That's hand-to-hand combat. So thank you, Joan, for doing that. And Joan and I would talk all the time, late at night, over weekends, whenever something popped up in her mind. And as board member and board chair for a number of years, I like to say that every board meeting we had, for all intents and purposes, Joan would bubbly, in a very bubbly way, come up and say, I have this new idea, okay? Or I've just brought $1 million to the coffers. So she always had surprises, and that is a testament to her entrenchment in the system and respect throughout the affordable housing world for both herself and HDF commensurately. So there are no words that I think I or the rest of the board can say to thank you for that. I am going to tear up in a minute, but a couple of statistics. I wanted to say, and Joan was there, and Joan was there, but there were too many times for me to say that, so I'm not going to say Joan was there, other than Joan is always there in terms of the mission of providing housing for those who most need it. Again, we've helped over 2,400 people acquire homes. Acquire, not just rent. We've had partnerships and helped finance almost $700 million of lending capital for HDF's residential and commercial lending programs, and we've just geared up to be even more robust in that field. So I have now the great pleasure to introduce a very special thing, which is a tribute video to Joan's career at HDF. Almost 30 years, as they said. And the staff, I know, I was speaking to Liz a minute ago, and Liz say it was the most arduous task that the staff has ever done to produce this. Again, both bittersweet and incredibly exciting to chronicle Joan's career. So I believe that without further ado, I say let's roll it. Who's rolling it? All right, thank you.
Joan has been an incredible innovator. Almost more than anyone in Connecticut, she has worked tirelessly to bring interesting, creative, and new resources into the state and to nonprofits working on affordable housing.
Joan is a true visionary with a passion for housing, and she has been an inspiration to all of us on the board.
Would think, oh, Joan must be mostly left brain because her mind is financial. But then she has an artistic side. And I think the artistic side has helped her also realize the struggles that some people have, maybe more than you would if you were just totally focused on finance and so forth.
She is creative, dedicated, and tenacious. If Joan wanted to implement a new program for HDF, I learned you just get out of the way because she's going to get it done. She doesn't take no for an answer.
She's a force of nature. She would create things, create projects, create access to dollars when there really wasn't any. If she were given the tools and a bigger, let's say a bigger playing field, she would be in the World Series.
And the fact that Joan was able to be in this industry for as long as she's been and fight that fight every day and try and change people's minds about it is a testament to the kind of person that she is.
Affordable housing has always been a challenge for our community. So back in 1989, 4 small local banks and some of the corporations that were headquartered in Stamford came together to start a loan fund to promote affordable housing. In 1994, our executive director decided to move on, and that's when Joan was hired.
She was very passionate about her plans and affordable housing in general.
The name that was originally Stamford Development Fund was changed to Housing Development Fund. Joan took HDF to a totally different level.
She was on the committee that hired me to become the director of the Adopt-A-House program. With her guidance, I was able to revamp the Adopt-A-House program with a slightly new focus, which was to help low and moderate income households with first-time home ownership. That was huge because HDF was rolling along, and taking us on was a whole new thing with more commitment and financial support and so forth. But we did it.
I think Joan has almost an uncanny ability to hone right in on what the solution is without dwelling on the what ifs. I guess you could say she has just this ability to evaluate risk in a way that is very constructive.
I've found over the years when you deal with people, some are good at the vision and the mission thing, but not great on implementation and execution. But Joan was great in both areas. Once she had a goal and a mission in mind, she did what she had to do, and I found that she adapted extremely well through many different business cycles, interest rate cycles, housing markets. It was very interesting.
One of our most effective programs is something called Smart Move that Joan invented. It's helped more than 2,500 homeowners get into their first homes.
And Joan had the foresight to know that just giving people down payment isn't enough. Our clients needed to get ready for home ownership. So she put together a counseling and education program that taught our clients what's involved in owning a home, the responsibilities, the expenses, helped them improve their credit score so they could get a mortgage.
I was there with the beginning of Smart Move. There were a couple of very big sticking points. Joan just said, I think there's a couple people we can get involved here, because she said, I really think this could be a game changer. With a lot of work, she figured it out, and we got those people at the table too, and then Smart Move came to fruition, and the minute it happened, we knew that we had something really special.
I actually gave her the first $1 million to fund the program from Peoples. I saw her excitement and her enthusiasm for the work and her creativity. She was so committed to finding a way to supplement a program that would help these people be able to become homeowners. Joan was able to take that $1 million and then go to other lenders, and I think it was a catalyst for helping her to raise additional funds to be able to offer the program.
When we unlocked Smart Move, it created the blueprint for moving into New York, for moving into Massachusetts. We knew what were some of the red flags for some of these different constituents and how to address those in a meaningful way.
It made the home ownership actually more affordable than renting a similar type unit.
Smart Move started everything. And from Smart Move, you jumped into the LEAP program. From the LEAP program, you jumped into Live Where You Work. From Live Where You Work, you jumped into the CDFI so that you can now build.
You know, she comes to the board with all these great ideas, and we scratch our head. We say, okay, you believe in it, go do it. And she gets it done.
Landlord Entrepreneurship Assistance Program. It was this idea that properties could be more affordable if it was a 2 or a 3 or a 4 family home and someone lived in one of the units and then collected rent or had other family members who partook in the mortgage. If we can use those things to create homeownership opportunities in areas that otherwise were not homeownership opportunities, then it might start to turn around neighborhoods.
Home buyers could actually own property and also receive income to help maintain properties. So it was a little bit of a different twist. But everything that she did, Chaffa, me, fully supported. So if Joan brought it, I fought for it.
Another one of our marquee programs is Live Where You Work. And just think about that for a minute in terms of helping families that struggle if you minimize their transportation costs by getting them housing close to where they work. And this is a program that is tax creditable, another invention of Joan's.
What she did with the Live Where You Work program is tie the money to employment. So instead of just being a Connecticut resident being eligible to receive the money now, if you worked in a certain community and you were going to live there and purchase there, then you could get a different pot of money. So her expertise, I guess, was in going out and finding all these little pots of money that she could get that she can use to help first-time homebuyers become homeowners.
The recent 23 units built from the Land Trust just shows the ability to do something very dynamic that wasn't structural before then. So the team is able to pivot and do things that no one ever thought they'd be doing.
And the Land Trust allows us to do work that perpetually deeds something as affordable.
Of course, we needed a site, we needed money. This was a long-term effort that was new to us. I recall that the board was skeptical whether we had the capacity to do something like this.
We were a little worried at the beginning because we have never done developments ourselves, and it's risky to do a development. You know, construction is risky business.
But what I always thought was so interesting is you knew that Joan was going to get the program through. She was going to continue to overcome objections and show how this project could work.
We found a piece of property, built 22 homeownership homes on it. It's called Washington Crossing. It's fabulously successful, and I attribute the Land Trust, to Joan's passion, creativity, and wanting to see something forever preserved as affordable housing.
She was confident she could find the monies, and I was confident we could build a building. But it was very much a team effort, you know, and Joan recognized everybody's talent that they could bring to bear for this effort, and she just let people run with it. And she ran with it too, so it worked.
I've learned about some of the home buyers and just so thrilled that they have this opportunity. That's a great innovation and wonderful for the state to have that model now because it's so successful.
you look at Joan's commitment to affordable housing and see somebody take a leap into constructing homes. It gets very complicated very quickly. And Joan, with her vision, saw that we could accomplish something that years prior maybe we couldn't have accomplished.
Mackenzie Scott, $4 million out of the blue, enabled us to do things that we had only an inkling of being able to do. We were one of 2 organizations in Connecticut that got a Mackenzie Scott Award.
It was astonishing, and it really was a game changer. It really enabled us to avoid the financing costs with that and gave us a little buffer to make sure we had the resources to finish that project.
It was given to the right, for the right reasons, to the right people who were so well respected under Joan's leadership that people at a national level actually knew who we were.
I grew up in Bridgeport in a very low-income community. The work that Joan did to help the people in my community touched my own heart. She helped me to develop a perspective and to identify where advocacy was essential and helped me to see how I could help make a difference.
I can see the end results every day of what HDF does, and I'm just proud to be a part of it.
Her legacy is going to be somebody who really made a difference, somebody who took a fledgling organization and built it into a real powerhouse in the affordable housing area. Mm-hmm. She's sort of the Tom Brady of affordable housing.
I love Joan's can-do attitude. I always admire that in her, and I try to implement the same thing in my own professional life.
Housing Development Fund is her legacy. It's in a very, very strong position to continue to build home ownership for people who never conceived of it. It's a very strong, solid platform.
We are here because of what she's done in the past. I think the path that she has drawn for us will be pretty much the path that we will move forward with.
Joan really has turned the impossible dream into a reality for a lot of people.
You've meant so much to so many people that it's so important that you take this time and do for yourself now. And just go out and enjoy yourself and enjoy your family. I can't imagine what the first 5 things on your itinerary are going to be.
She's already told me all these things she has planned, so once again I'm going to have to get in the queue and book some time with her. But I do hope that she now gets to pursue all of these creative interests that she has. I know she's got big plans to spend time with her grandchildren, her 2 new adorable grandchildren.
I wish her much happiness and adventure in her travels, and I hope she continues her painting and enjoys her grandchildren and just has a wonderful retirement.
I want to wish you the best of everything. Go out, turn down that braid, and have some fun. Do that first, and then come back and call me.
Good morning, everyone. I have to say first, even before I introduce myself, being the Bronx girl here, maybe Babe Ruth instead of Tom Brady. I'm Keith Getter, a senior relationship manager with NeighborWorks America. We're a national nonprofit, and HDF has been a member of our national network for 10 or more years. I'm very humbled to be here, to be in the graces of this audience, and certainly to honor Joan. This is a moment for me that's both work, but also, as everybody acknowledges, personal. And I'm going to try to keep my tears inside and try to be brief, but it's a bit hard because of the great contributions that Joan has made to the field of affordable housing. Knowing Joan, I have to say I have had a great honor in knowing her before she was part of HDF. Not to date myself or to Joan, but as you might have seen on the information boards, she was a graduate of Hunter College in 1981 in the Urban Affairs program. I started at Hunter in 1982 with the Master of Urban Planning program. Her reputation was already known in that department when I started. Soon thereafter, her work with the Neighborhood Housing Services family in New York City was part of my portfolio. So although we didn't have face-to-face contact, let's just say her reputation has always preceded her with all of the good things that you've heard about Joan. So she's very much been connected to me as a role model, a mentor, and a person to really look up to and appreciate. A few words I just wanted to say that come to mind. You've heard them through the video, so it's interesting that independently I come up with the same kind of descriptions. Enthusiastic, persistent, bold, creative, innovative, energetic, wise, thoughtful, caring, a truth speaker, business-minded, an advocate, a fighter, an implementer, a team builder, a starter and a finisher, and of course a lover of arts and music and people. Knowing Joan, just a few things that kind of come to mind. We're in this great space called The Village, and I did a little reading about it. It's known for innovation. Well, we've heard all about Joan's innovative skills and talents, so it's very fitting that we're here today. Joan was a member of our inaugural class of what we call Achieving Excellence at Harvard that NeighborWorks had funded. We have members who are still in the class now. As a result of that project, there was a thing called megacities. Joan was advocating for energy efficiency through the state of Connecticut before folks were jumping all over the climate change conversation. I remember a moment where I got a phone call. I was in Philadelphia, and Joan was just so upset because her organization's name was left off of a list for some type of competitive grant. Well, that got changed within a half hour. Some may know back in 2009, I've always kept this. Joan was a presenter and provided testimony in front of the Senate Banking Committee during the foreclosure crisis. And she was reminding me before this day that she brought a resident with her, because it wasn't just for Joan to speak on behalf of people. She was about don't plan for me without me. And so she was an advocate for the community. And back in 2009, she was arguing for a system of housing and counseling to support the kind of work that HDF continues to do today as a leader of the community development field. A few other quick comments that I want to make. Well, in terms of Joan's work for Housing Development Fund, NeighborWorks America has a rating system. This organization has always held the top rating of our standards, exemplary. There has not been a quarter since we started with their affiliation that they've had anything other than the top rating. NeighborWorks has awarded HDF over $10 million in grants and donations over the past 12 years. Most of this was through competitive grants. I could go on and on. I won't. I know time is short. I think for Joan, we've talked personally about what does life balance mean. And her career, the work has always been so integrated with her life that I think the frame of what life balance is today is something Joan may discover now that she will enter the world of retirement and get to be with family and grandchildren and travel. But I have a sneaking suspicion that she's going to still show up with her great contributions in the world of community development. And with that said, it's my pleasure to present Joan with a plaque from NeighborWorks America in recognition of her over 30 years of dedication to communities throughout Connecticut and New York and beyond. NeighborWorks thanks her for her tireless dedication to affordable housing and to helping low-income communities secure financially sustainable housing for themselves and their families. And I'd like to read this plaque. You can see it as I read it, and I'll share it with everybody else. Joan Carty, in recognition of 30 years of contribution and dedication to the communities HDF serves and the NeighborWorks network, thank you for all that you have done towards creating opportunities for people to live in affordable homes, improve their lives, and build strong communities. So thank you again. We will continue and we will miss Joan, but we know that she's not going to be far away. And to the same essence that her reputation preceded her, her own special being is always going to be with us, not like someone who is departed, but somebody who's part of the family, and we will just always be able to connect with her. So it's a very special person. Thank you all.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, everyone. I'm blown away. So I don't know if we're abbreviating the program. Should I go now, or? Okay. All right. Hold on. I wrote a couple of things down. I didn't want to forget to say a couple of things. So. Thank you so much. I am truly speechless at this wonderful tribute. I don't feel like I deserve it, but thank you. I'd like to give a special shout out to Liz. I know this was her brainchild, and I really tried to stay out of her hair and let her have this be a surprise. And Liz, you did it. You accomplished it. Thank you. I'd like to also give a big thank you to our board and to our staff and to the sponsors. You all contribute every day to HDF's success. None of this work is done alone. I like to say to people when they give me compliments that, if I didn't have a team to work with, I would just be sitting in a room talking to myself about all the great ideas I have about affordable housing. Like, you can't get anything done unless you convince other people to work with you, and they themselves drive things forward. That's the human condition. So reflect it all back on yourselves, and thank you for everything you've done to support all of our work. As Clay and Michael and all the speakers have noted in their remarks, we're all shaped by our life experiences. We're born from the strength and perseverance of our parents. They were willing to work hard and hope that the window of opportunity would open for them at the moment that they were prepared to take advantage of it. And that's what we do and what we've always done at HDF. Get people prepared and ready for opportunity. Thank you all so much for your ongoing support. Please keep at it. Connecticut and its communities need our efforts more than ever these days. There's still an awful lot to be done, and I'm so happy to see your energy and enthusiasm in this room because our communities need it. Thank you very much.
Joan, and yes, you deserve it. And I mean, when NeighborWorks came up here and Keith came up and talked about getting that great grade, NeighborWorks does not give out a lot of A's. So, you know, we've enjoyed that for a long time, but we've earned it with your leadership. I'm Michael Weinstock, Regional President, M&T Bank. I'm the Vice Chairman proudly of HDF. And I've been with the organization now for 7 years. And so it's been my honor. I had a bunch of notes, but you heard them. So let me just say, we have a couple of proclamations, Joan. And I'll give you these. You don't have to come up. I'll give these to you. One is from Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysowitz. Okay, I won't read it. The next one, though, is from the governor, and I know that his office Googled you, and I'll tell you why. Because everybody saw the video. The governor didn't see the video, but they had it literally go into the back room, okay, and find a proclamation and citation that would fit everything on it. So here's the one from the governor, and it has a lot of words in it, and they're really meaningful, but it actually didn't fit on the smaller size paper, they said. So that's kind of cool, right? That's a lifetime of work. What I would say, a little anecdote about you, is Joan and her family moved from Ireland when she was 7. And Joan's experiences kind of fermented her desire to help others achieve the American dream. And so I wouldn't go into detail because you've seen everything, the way people speak about Joan, and it's all really well earned, and it's all really well known, and we feel it. Everyone on the board, everyone on the staff sees it every day. So I just wanted to really thank you for that, and thanks for making me a better person and really understanding things that I never did before. So I do want to do a shout out though. So we have some family members here today, Joan's family. So Patrick, you, Ursula, Paul, Greg, where are you? There you are. And Joan's children, Catherine, Connor, Garrett. Why don't you guys stand up? Come on. So this is on behalf of, this is where we wanted to finish really today. And this is from everyone at HDF. And so there was a desire to celebrate your 30 years and put it into something that we could look at every day and remind ourselves of you, as well as some pictures we'll all have around, right? And so we are starting the first gen homeownership counseling program today as part of the curriculum really at HDF. This first gen program is going to provide pre-purchase homeownership counseling for first-time home buyers who are also first-generation buyers. And we're really proud of this. And to start that process today, we've had a couple of people support the fund that we're trying to, and I'm going to ask everyone else to look on the back of your program's UPC code and think about reaching into your pocket and making a donation, and this is where it's going. So the Good Now Fund has now gone ahead and provided $2,500 to start the fund. Trinity, Michael Hunter, where are you? Michael Hunter and his team, $1,000. M&T, where are you? My colleagues at M&T and myself, $1,000. And we're just going to start it there. So I'm not going to do a raise of hands or anything like that, but you have your brochures, and please help us, because this is that fund, this is our start, and this will get us going. Once again, thank you to everyone. Thanks to our speakers today, and Joan. It's really to thank you, so thanks.
like to be theatrical in a theatrical place. This is unscripted, and I think that the program paid appropriate homage to Joan and her lifetime accomplishments, so I'm not going to repeat that other than to personally say thank you so much, Joan. I know you have lots of plans, but I do have to say that HDF will continue to do its work, and we do have a new leader. And I didn't quite figure out whether I should introduce Kylie Goslin, but I'm going to anyway, because I think Joan would want that, okay? And Kylie did not want it, so Kylie, please just stand up. Kylie will take the reins effectively at the end of this month. And I think that from the heart of the board is highly optimistic. We have chosen the right person, and we think that we will not, I keep saying it, we will not skip a beat, okay? And you have a great trajectory developed by Joan, and I know you will do the work always in honor of Joan and what's preceded you. So thank you all. I don't have anything else to say, although I could probably talk for 3 or 4 hours if anyone asked. So other than a thank you, and please do give us a few dollars for our fund that's being developed in honor of Joan. Thank you so much. It was a great turnout and a really nice event.